Gotcha. That's better.
ProtectYourBubble.com. Proud sponsors of Swipe on Sky News.
You're watching Swipe. Coming up on the show this week. Living with disability, the high-tech solutions helping make life easier. Leading ladies, we meet two of the UK's best-known Paralympic champions. And boxing clever, making the most of what you are in our games review. Hello and welcome to Swipe. This week we're in Birmingham at the Naidex exhibition. It's the UK's largest disability home care and rehabilitation event. And our Sky News colleague Max Preston, who has cerebral palsy, has been taking a look at some of the latest high-tech innovations.
This is how I see the world, but with constant advances in technology, I can't help but ask whether it always has to be this way. So I've come here to Naidex to find out. Now, this wheelchair from Boulder is a very snazzy bit of kit, allowing its users to more directly engage in social situations by getting up to eye level with others, as well, of course, as stretching their legs. And as an everyday wheelchair user, I have to say, it feels relatively normal. But what if you couldn't even use it without being helped out of bed every morning? Well, it turns out that, like much else, there's an app for that. It's called CarePair. It's a bit like the Uber app, but for the recruitment of personal caregivers.
The website part of it, you sign up either as a carer or as a user of care, and you say what you can provide or what you need help with, and the system matches people together based on those criteria that have been put in. The safety issue is down to the employer that's employing the carer. It is their responsibility with their funding to make sure the relevant checks are carried out. There aren't many regulations on it when you're employing carers directly, so actually it's up to you to choose what you want.
However useful and safe its customers may deem it, many disabled people simply can't use their hands well enough to enjoy conventional smartphone technology. I'm one of them, but that may be about to change, as the team at Doro say they've come up with an answer. But overcoming communication challenges is just one facet of being disabled. What if, like me, you're keen to get more exercise? Well, happily, Shukri from Medicatech was on hand to help. A few years ago, during an extended stay in hospital, I got a lot out of using an accessible gym bike like this one. But when I asked my local health authority how much it would cost to have one at home, the answer was thousands. So what can be done to make it more affordable?
Think about actually shopping around, because I think then you create more of a market, and you build people's confidence as purchasers, and I think that will help with making it more accessible.
And while the ideal solution for one user may not be at all appropriate for another, the aim here at Naidex seems universal: to help disabled people stand on their own 2 feet. Max Preston, Sky News.
Well, there are some big-name speakers here at Naidex too, and joining us now is Paralympic legend, 11 times gold medalist, Baroness Tanni Grey-Thompson. Thanks for joining us. What do you make of events like this?
Well, Naidex is amazing because it's the one opportunity where disabled people are able to see all the different products that are available to them. You know, they're not always easily available, and unless you come here, and there are other shows around like it, not this kind of size, unless you come here, you're not going to know the things that will make your life easier.
A lot of the really impressive products, do you think perhaps they could be slightly undermined by the fact that not everyone's going to be able to afford them, particularly the people that need them most?
It does seem that if you put a tag disability product on something, that there is a greater cost. I'm sure the companies will say, you know, there's research and development costs, you know, there's always a reason why things can be expensive. But I think actually as more disabled people are able to purchase them, as things get more mainstream, then those costs should come down.
Is that key to make it more mainstream?
Absolutely. You know, actually companies that just make general equipment need to make it more disabled friendly, more mum friendly, more older people friendly. And, you know, we just have to make it, because it makes such a difference to disabled people's lives. It's a shame if they can't afford them.
And a lot of people don't realise that it's actually quite difficult to get hold of a suitable wheelchair, just a basic wheelchair for an individual.
Yeah, I'm working on a project which is looking at improving wheelchair services. There's loads of good practice, but it's a postcode lottery, wait times are too long, and getting the right chair means that you can work, you can go to school, you can go to university, you can pay taxes, you can contribute to society. And we need to make sure the public understand that the right chair makes a huge difference to a disabled person's life.
Brilliant. Tanni, thanks for speaking to us. You're watching Swipe, still to come. Digging for victory. Shovel Knight is back. Well, look who else is here. Hurricane Hannah, another Paralympic champion. Hi, Hannah Cockroft. What are you doing here today?
So I'm here today. I've just done a talk on one of the stands, I guess to inspire people and tell disabled people that they can do and can be whatever they want to be.
How have you done that?
Just told them my story of where I've come from and how I've got to where I am, and it's got quite a good response, so I'm quite happy with it. And yeah, it's great to be here on such a massive platform and a lot of people to address.
Yeah, there's a lot of emphasis here on independent living, isn't there? And that's something that you do.
Yeah, for me, independence is really important. It's something that for disabled people is taken away quite easily, and something that you really have to fight to have. So I think it's important that people believe that they can have it, and that's the first step to actually gaining it. So this place is great because people can come and see what they need for their independence, how they can get it, how they can just claim it all back, and I think that's really important.
We've been taking a look at the technology and the innovation here. In racing, is that something that's quite prevalent? There's a lot of new tech.
The race chairs are all fairly similar, like there's not really anything new, and people try new things, like try to make the chair out of carbon fibre, make a new wheel, make new things like that.
Can it get a bit unfair if, one country has better technology than the other?
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of rules in place put by the IPC that kind of stops that happening. So we can develop things as far as we want, but actually if they don't come within the rules, then you can't race it. So actually the technology in wheelchair racing kind of stands still and has been stood still for a long time, but it works for us and that's fine.
Are there particular types of technology that you really rely on, either for racing or for your own personal independent living?
I guess for me, obviously my race chair is important, my day chair is really important. I need it to be light and manoeuvrable, and so I always push into Cushals at the top end for my race, just because they work really well for me. But driving wise, I have to drive every single day, so my hand controls are really important, that I actually trust what they're about to do. So yeah, I think when you look further into life, there's loads of technology that helps me from day to day, but I think I kind of take it for granted because it's always been there. I've always kind of had that access and known what I need and what I want to do with it.
What kind of innovations would you really like to see in the future?
For me, I loved a car that drives itself. That'd be amazing.
Driverless cars. Well, yeah, there's a lot of talk about those. Yeah.
But I guess mobility-wise, I think just it doesn't even have to be technology. It's just more access, just to make things a little bit easier. Let's get the tubes accessible, the buses accessible. Let's make the big cities accessible, and make it a little bit more fun to actually go and visit them. That'd be great.
Oh, Hannah, it was great to talk to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Now we've got a knight with a spade and a brainy bouncing box. It can only be time for our games review. Here's Holly Nielsen.
Shovel Knight was originally released in June 2014 for the 3DS, Wii U and Microsoft. However, now it's out on Vita, PS4 and Xbox One, so everyone can enjoy it now. It's got a wonderful 8-bit retro aesthetic to it. It'll really get the nostalgia juices flowing, and it's a wonderful meeting between old and new. It's got some fantastic characters in it, and you fight with a shovel and you use various techniques. So you can use it as a pogo stick, which is a bit reminiscent of the old DuckTales game for anybody that will remember that. It's quite a difficult game, but multiple checkpoints means that it doesn't get too frustrating. It's got brilliant gameplay and it's definitely one that you should look out for. Box Boy has a simple premise, but it's one that works really well. So it has a bit of a simplistic art style, but it's really adorable. The little box that you play as is pretty gorgeous, and you can dress him up in capes and sunglasses and things. It's really charming. The premise is that you spawn a number of different boxes and you use these boxes to make it through each level. The end of each level is your goal. The levels are quite short and it can be a bit simple, but there are over 150 levels, so it's a great dip in and out of game.
Well, that's it for this week, but don't forget to stay up to date with all the latest tech news on Sky News for iPad, our smartphone app, skynews.com and our YouTube playlist. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
Gotcha. Ah, that's better.
ProtectYourBubble.com. Proud sponsors of Swipe on Sky News.